Let's be real. GTA 6 has the potential to be incredible, but Rockstar could easily drop the ball if they don't play it smart. So let's talk about some of the things the upcoming game definitely doesn't need if it wants to live up to the hype and avoid becoming a disappointment, starting with a flood of drive there and shoot missions. Look, driving is a core part of the GTA experience, and no one is denying that. But when it comes to missions, Rockstar has leaned way too heavily on the formula of drive to point A, shoot some guys, drive back. Sure, it's a good way to let new players explore the map, but after a while, it gets repetitive and feels like busy work. In GTA 5, especially in the early parts of the game, we saw a lot of this type of mission structure. It starts off exciting, cruising around Los Santos, getting a feel for the city, but it quickly becomes formulaic. You start anticipating the same mission structure. Hop in your car, follow the GPS, shoot some NPCs, rinse and repeat. These missions are fine when used sparingly, but when they dominate the mission roster, it feels like Rockstar is just padding the game length, and that's the problem. After 60 hours of gameplay, it becomes a chore rather than a thrilling mission. In fact, a lot of players end up trying to rush through these missions just to get back to something that's actually engaging. If GTA 6 is going to push the series forward, Rockstar needs to rethink how they design their missions. One thing they need more of is interior shootouts. Remember the intensity of storming a building in GTA 4 or some of the rare interior battles in GTA 5? The close quarters combat, navigating tight hallways, taking cover, and using strategy to defeat enemies? That's the kind of gameplay that feels immersive and rewarding. Rockstar already has the tools to create some truly incredible set pieces. We've seen them do it in Red Dead Redemption 2. Think about how varied the missions were there, with different mechanics and approaches. Why not bring that level of depth into GTA 6? Imagine more bank heists, mall shootouts, or high-speed chases that end inside a crumbling warehouse, where you have to fight your way out through waves of enemies. One of the standout missions from GTA 5 was the Polito Score, where the crew storms a small-town bank, and you have to blast your way out against waves of police, SWAT teams, and even a tank. It was high stakes, chaotic, and absolutely thrilling. But how often did we get missions like that compared to the endless drive here, shoot them, and leave quests? And let's not forget how much the interiors can add to the atmosphere. Exploring these environments adds so much to the immersion, and it's a shame Rockstar doesn't use them more. Imagine how much richer the state of Leonida would feel if there were more interior environments designed for combat and exploration, rather than just endless roads and outdoor shootouts. The key here is variety. Yes, keep some driving missions, but don't let them dominate. The map will naturally get explored over time. There's no need to shove that mechanic down our throats with repetitive missions. Mix in more interiors, more multi-stage heists, and scenarios that require players to think on their feet. By adding all of these, Rockstar can make GTA 6's missions something that players look forward to, rather than dread. It may sound stupid, but I feel like this should be on the list. GTA 6 doesn't need to run for 11 years like GTA 5. That game has been a monumental success, and it's hard to argue about that. But seriously, 11 years? That's way too long for any game to dominate the scene. Yes, the content updates, the online mode, and the modding community have all added longevity. But do we really need another GTA that spans more than a decade? Sure, Rockstar has been excellent at keeping GTA Online alive with constant updates, new features, vehicles, heists, and more. But what about the single player? Let's not forget that when GTA 5 launched, Rockstar promised us single-player DLCs. You might be wondering, where did those go? As far as we can tell, they were scrapped because of GTA Online. The success of the online mode made Rockstar pivot completely away from the single-player content that so many of us were waiting for. It's frustrating because the potential for additional stories was massive. There were leaks and rumors about expansions that could have brought us more of Franklin, Michael, and Trevor. More heists, more chaos, more character arcs to explore. Instead, Rockstar funneled all their resources into online updates, and the single-player mode was left in the dust. And let's be real here, there's a huge chunk of the community that prefers single-player experiences. But Rockstar saw the money in microtransactions and shark cards, and that's where the focus shifted. Every new update, every new piece of content was designed to keep the online world alive, while single-player players got nothing. The single-player mode remained untouched, while online thrived with ridiculous vehicles, out-of-place futuristic weapons, and content that felt less and less like classic GTA. This brings us to GTA 6. If Rockstar wants to extend the life of the upcoming game like they did with 5, they need to do it differently. First, no more abandoning the single player. If they want to add years of longevity to the game, fine, but give us more story content too. Keep developing the world of the game with rich narrative expansions that take the characters to new places. Don't just milk online for all it's worthwhile, leaving the core fans out in the cold. And let's talk about the 11-year gap itself. It's time for Rockstar to get realistic about their release cycle. We know game development is more complex now, and creating a GTA title is a massive undertaking, but stretching it out for over a decade? Come on. In 11 years, entire franchises have risen and fallen, new genres have emerged, and technology has evolved a lot. If Rockstar wants to keep the franchise fresh and innovative, they need to aim for something more reasonable, like 5 to 6 years between titles. The world of gaming moves fast, and if Rockstar isn't careful, they'll risk falling behind while holding on to the past. Instead of giving us one game that lasts over a decade, give us more games that evolve with the times. Next up is something that's been worrying a lot of longtime GTA fans, myself included. The fear that Rockstar might try to modernize GTA 6 for a new, broader audience. And if there's one thing we don't need, it's Grand Theft Auto losing its edge in the name of appealing to everyone. We've all seen the leaks in the first trailer, and while we don't know too much about the story yet, there's this lingering concern that Rockstar might soften things up to avoid controversy. I get it, it's 2024, things have changed, people are more sensitive to certain topics, and game companies are more cautious about offending anyone. But this is Grand Theft Auto we're talking about. This series was built on pushing boundaries, on being gritty, vulgar, and unapologetically funny. To strip that away in an attempt to modernize it would be to strip away what makes GTA special in the first place. Look, I know some people are going to say, it's not 2004 or 2013 anymore. You can't get away with the same edgy, borderline offensive stuff that GTA used to thrive on. And yes, the world has changed, but should GTA really be about catering to those changes? If you're going to neuter the series to the point where it's afraid to offend, then don't even call it GTA anymore. The franchise is synonymous with being a satirical take on society, with all its absurdities and flaws exposed in a no-holds-barred fashion. If GTA 6 loses that, it won't just feel like a watered-down version of the franchise, it'll feel like a completely different game. Let's not forget what happened with the Saints Row reboot. The original Saints Row games were unashamedly crass, pushing the envelope with ridiculous humor. But the reboot? It was an absolute mess, trying so hard to appeal to a modern audience that it ended up alienating the core fans who loved it for being outrageous. The result was a game that felt bland, safe, and frankly, out of touch with what made it popular in the first place. GTA 6 doesn't need to follow that same path. Imagine a GTA that plays it safe, where the humor is toned down to avoid any potential backlash, and where the characters feel like they've been sanitized to the point of being unrecognizable. It wouldn't be Grand Theft Auto. It would be something else entirely. If Rockstar waters down the content to appease a modern audience, they risk losing the very identity of the franchise. Sure, people might complain if GTA 6 dares to push boundaries the way its predecessors did, but guess what? People have always complained about GTA. There was outcry in the early 2000s with GTA 3 and Vice City. The media had a field day with San Andreas and its infamous hot coffee mod. Even GTA 5 wasn't safe from controversy, with people calling out everything from its violent themes to its treatment of certain groups. But that didn't stop those games from becoming some of the most successful and beloved titles in gaming history. In fact, the controversy helped build the legend of the series. At the end of the day, GTA is a satire. It's supposed to make people uncomfortable at times, and it's supposed to push buttons. And if GTA 6 tries to tone down the satire in an attempt to be more inclusive or less offensive, it's gonna lose that razor-sharp edge that defines it. Another thing we don't need in the upcoming game is turning it into a full-blown life simulator. I made a video about it a few weeks ago, so I'ma keep it short. If Rockstar goes too far down the road of realism, the game could end up feeling more like a chore than a playground for chaos. Look, we all loved the RPG elements from San Andreas. Working out at the gym to bulk up CJ, gaining weight if you ate too much junk food, or even learning martial arts moves. They gave us more control over CJ's appearance and abilities, but crucially, they didn't demand constant attention. You could go to the gym or grab a bite to eat when you felt like it, but the game wasn't constantly breathing down your neck, forcing you to keep up with daily routines. That's the key difference. San Andreas struck a balance. You weren't being forced to manage every aspect of CJ's life. Yes, you had to eat occasionally, but you weren't shoveling food into his mouth every in-game day just to keep his energy up. It was a system that added depth without becoming intrusive. Now, compare that to GTA 5, which stripped away many of those RPG elements entirely. No more managing your character's physique or stamina, which took away some of that personal connection and progression. While GTA 5 streamlined the experience, I think Rockstar went too far in the opposite direction. But what we definitely don't need in GTA 6 is Rockstar overcompensating by adding too much realism. I'm all for RPG elements making a return, letting us customize and build up our character in meaningful ways, but it has to be handled with care. If they turn GTA 6 into a full-fledged life simulator, where we're not only managing hunger and stamina but things like paying rent or charging electric cars, that's going to suck the fun right out of the game. We play GTA to escape reality. It's about chaos, freedom, and being able to do things that would never fly in the real world. If Rockstar leans too hard into simulating real life, then where's the escape? Where's the fun? If I wanted to worry about gas prices or getting stuck in traffic, I'd go for a drive in real life. In GTA, I want to run red lights without consequence, outrun the cops in a sports car, and cause mayhem without having to stress about filling up a gas tank every 20 minutes. And don't get me started on some of the crazier ideas fans have had. People have suggested everything from ultra-realistic car damage physics to the inclusion of mundane tasks like cooking meals, paying taxes, and attending classes to unlock new skills. I mean, come on, this is Grand Theft Auto, not The Sims. Sure, games like Red Dead Redemption 2 managed to pull off realism in a subtle and engaging way, but even then, the demands of keeping Arthur fed, rested, and clean could feel like too much at times. In a fast-paced world like GTA, it would just feel out of place. There's a fine line between realism that enhances the gameplay and realism that bogs it down. Yes, we want GTA 6 to feel immersive, and yes, there should be RPG elements that let us customize our characters and their abilities, but we don't want to be constantly managing a laundry list of real-life problems while we're supposed to be stealing cars and taking over the city. Next thing we definitely don't need in the upcoming game is that boring, overly safe traffic system we had in GTA 5. Sure, the cars in 5 technically followed the traffic laws and occasionally swerved or had random police chases, but let's be real, driving through Los Santos felt way too tame most of the time, and in GTA that's just not what we're looking for. The streets should feel alive, chaotic, and unpredictable. See, it's not about making the game unrealistic. The problem with GTA 5's traffic wasn't that it was too real, it's that it didn't capture the messiness and variety you'd actually expect on the streets. In real life, people speed, run red lights, get into fender benders, and sometimes just flat out ignore the rules of the road. That's the kind of stuff we need to see more of in GTA 6. NPC drivers shouldn't always be going 30 miles per hour and stopping at every red light like they're in driver's ed. The streets of Vice City should be packed with life. Cars should weave in and out of traffic, speed past you on the highway, and occasionally just lose control, causing accidents. Think about it. Wouldn't it be awesome if instead of just a few random police chases happening once in a blue moon, you had more dynamic interactions on the road? And on top of that, how about we see some more personality in traffic? How great would it be to see random car meets happening in parking lots or on the side of the road, with NPCs showing off their custom rides and even racing each other? The modding community has already done a fantastic job of adding some of these elements to the game, so there's no reason Rockstar couldn't implement them in GTA 6. Let's see some groups of NPCs hanging out around their cars, revving their engines, and challenging each other to races. Now, one thing that definitely needs to change is the variety of cars on the road. GTA 5 gave us so many incredible vehicles through the online DLCs, yet for some reason they never made their way into the regular traffic. It doesn't make sense to have all these amazing cars locked away in online mode, while single-player traffic is still packed with the same few basic cars over and over. By the time you've played for a few hours, you've seen the same sedans and SUVs dozens of times. In GTA 6, Rockstar needs to bring in all the variety they've built up over the years and populate the streets with a mix of luxury sports cars, muscle cars, off-road vehicles, and everything in between. And then there's the issue of car sounds. Let's face it, GTA 5's vehicle sounds are pretty disappointing, especially for high-end cars. The engine sounds are muffled, lacking that raw, powerful roar that you'd expect from a sports car or a muscle car. In GTA 6, Rockstar really needs to step up their game in this department. The sound of an engine is part of what makes driving feel exciting, and when you're tearing down the highway in a $2 million hypercar, you want to feel that power, not hear a muted, dull engine noise. Look at games like Forza Horizon 5. They've nailed the visceral sound of performance cars. Just imagine how much more satisfying it would be to hop in your best car and hear that kind of sound as you rip through the streets. It's not about making GTA into a racing sim, but if we're going to spend a lot of time driving, why not make it sound awesome? For those who prefer quieter cars, Rockstar could easily add a slider in the settings to adjust engine volume. One more thing GTA 6 absolutely doesn't need is an overload of microtransactions. Rockstar has already made an absolute fortune on shark cards, and now they're raking in even more with their GTA Plus subscription service. The problem? They just made GTA Plus more expensive a few months ago, and it's not a stretch to think that they'll jack up the price again when GTA 6 drops. It's a troubling trend, and one that could easily taint what should be the next great installment in the franchise. Let's think about this for a second. I get that GTA Online has been a massive cash cow for Rockstar. Shark cards, microtransactions, and now GTA Plus have created a revenue stream that keeps them rolling in money. But here's the issue. If we're already paying a premium price for the game itself, why should we be expected to shell out more money just to access certain content or make progress in the online mode? The rumors floating around about GTA 6 potentially costing $100 for the standard version are starting to look more and more likely, especially when you consider that Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Rockstar's parent company Take-Two, has gone on record saying that video games are too cheap and should be more expensive in some cases. So, if that's the direction they're heading, and we're already expected to pay a lot just to buy the game, why would it make sense to lock parts of it behind a paywall like GTA Plus? It doesn't. If I'm paying $100 or more for a game, I expect to get the full product. All the content, all the features, no strings attached. But with the way Rockstar has monetized GTA Online, it's hard not to be a little concerned about what they'll do with GTA 6. Imagine spending $100 on the base game, only to realize that certain cars, properties, or missions are locked behind a GTA Plus subscription. That's where things could get ugly fast. GTA Plus has already been criticized for offering players exclusive benefits and access to content that regular players don't get, creating a clear divide between those willing to pay extra and those who aren't. Games should offer players a complete experience, especially at a premium price. If they want to introduce microtransactions for cosmetic items, fine, whatever. But the moment they start locking real content behind paywalls, it crosses the line. We saw how games like Star Wars Battlefront 2 got slammed for aggressive microtransactions, and it's something Rockstar needs to be very careful about. There's plenty of other stuff that GTA 6 doesn't need, like those damn flying bikes with missiles, but honestly, I felt like that's too obvious. I think we can all agree that nobody wants that overpowered nonsense in the game anymore. The real question is, what else do you think GTA 6 doesn't need? I've gone through my list, but I want to hear from you, so let me know in the comments down below.